Welcome! In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this ZTUKOMN 90-degree clamping set. These were provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So let's get this open. So these come in this plastic case and this plastic bag too, but you can store them in this case. It's a pretty basic case. We'll open this up. And here we have the clamps. There's some foam back here. Now you might want to pay attention to this because I don't see any form in here to get it back exactly like this. So when you open this, you may just want to take a picture of it for reference. But we have the larger squares on the outside, the medium ones nested inside of that, smaller ones on top, and then these clamping pieces, we have two here, two on the end of each of the end of these 90-degree angles, and then the other pieces in the middle. So these are plastic squares. They have centimeters here, inches here on the opposite side. There are angles on here for 45, 22.5. They have holes in them, so we can take these metal pieces. Let me cut that open. And these can fit through here with a knob on the end. We'll get two of those set up. And then those can fit in these holes. Put them in the middle ones. And then you can take two boards, one on this side, one on this side, and you can tighten these down, and this will clamp against those boards to hold the boards at a 90-degree angle. So clamping blocks like this could be useful for making cabinets, frames, or anything else where you need to clamp things at a 90-degree angle. So these are 5.9 inches on either side here. The medium are 4 inches on the outside, and these are 2 by 3 inches. So this comes with 8 of these pieces and 8 of these, so you have enough to make a single box with these. So you could clamp 4 corners together essentially. And it comes with 4 of each of these sizes, obviously. So I just wanted to show those on my bench here. But let's head over to my shop. I'll need to cut up some wood to make a project, and we'll clamp them together with this and see how well they work. So I'll cut to that now. Okay, so I'm out here at my shop. I have the clamps here, and I cut a couple boards here. So say we want to connect these at the corner. So I have different size angles I can use. I'll go with the medium for this. So I'll get an angle piece. I'll get 2 of the bars, 2 of the nuts, and 2 of these blocks. So what we're creating here is a butt joint, so one is going to overlap the other. So what I want to do is have one of these stick out some arbitrary amount, like so. And I'll put the threaded rod in there, and I'll put this here, and I'll screw a nut on. Okay, so I have that on there, and now I'm going to take the other piece and I'll butt it up against that. Now you can see this is not lining up. We'll address that in a minute. Okay, so I have that clamped together. Now I'll loosen up the other side, and I'll take something flat, like maybe this, and I'll butt it up against there. So I know those surfaces are flat with each other. And then I'll tighten this down. Okay, so I had to flip that around. This was not the good end. This is the good end. So now I have it flush on this edge, and I have it square. So now I could do something like take a drill and drill some holes in this. And now I can insert some screws. So now I have that screwed together. I'll take the clamp off. Let me get a square to check that with. So if we put the square on there, we're not seeing any light in here. So that's a single butt joint corner. Now let's take a look at a mitered frame. So for that, I'll get the 4 big blocks out. And I'll just get everything prepped. Now you want to make sure your surface is clean, so I'll brush it off to make sure there's no dust on here. And here I have 4 pieces of brick mold. I cut them into a frame shape. So this is, I think it's 2 inches. On the back side it's about 1 1/4. On the inside it's about 1 inch. So I've mitered the 4 corners here. Let me get a wider view, and I'll clamp these 4 corners. Now for a clamp up like this, I'm going to want to loosen these up and move them into position. And I'll line up that miter, and I'll hold the square up against the corner, and I'll just snug this down. And then I'll go to the next corner. I'm not going to tighten these super tight in case I have to make adjustments. Okay, so I have the 4 corners clamped up. So if I glued these, I could wait till the glue dries, or in my instance, I'm going to put screws in. Okay, so I have 1 screw on each corner here. And the nice thing about this all being clamped is it was easiest for me to drill from this corner. So I could just lift it up and move it around. So I could get all of my clamping done, and then I could do all my attaching or screwing. And like I said, if I glued it, then I could just leave it here to cure. Now, since these corner clamps are not in the actual corners, I can take my tape measure here and I can do diagonal measurement. So here I got 27 and 15/16, and here 27 and 15/16. So I'm able to check my work for square. If these clamps had been in the actual corners themselves, then I wouldn't have room to put the tape measure to check that, and then also it'd be harder to put fasteners in. So that's the ZTUKOMN right angle clamping set. I like how easy these were to use. You can just place the right angle pieces inside of your miter and then put the clamps on the outside. It's nice that it has 4 clamps, so you can clamp up your entire square or rectangle at the same time. And then of course it has different pieces. So if you're working on small work, you can use the small angles. And for larger work, you can use the medium or larger angles. So clamps like this would be good for making frames, boxes, carcass work for cabinets. You could even use it for like face frames. Since these are made of plastic, you're not going to have issues with them bending out of alignment. They're also not going to rust. I was actually making a box the other day before I got these, and I could have used these. It was really hard to holding the box together. Using clamps like this would have made it a lot easier because I could have clamped the whole box together and then screwed in the sides. As I was doing it, I was working on one side at a time, and I kind of had to push everything into shape when I was all done. Guess I should show a close-up of these miters too. So you can see the corners. Now there are some little gaps in here, but they're pretty darn tight. Here's the back side. Now this wood was not perfectly flat. I had to twist it into shape just a little bit. So I was pressing it down while I drilled these holes and put the screws in. I did put the other screw in. But I'd say that turned out pretty good. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.